we don't want to get into wars. I rebuilt the military. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. We redid our nuclear. We're the #1 nuclear power, which I hate to admit because it's so horrible. It's such a horrible situation if it ever has to be used. Russia's second. China's a distant third, but they'll catch us within 4 or 5 years. They want to catch us, and they'll be able to catch us. And we're maybe working on a plan to denuclearize the three of us, so we'll see if that works. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. We're investing $1 trillion in the United States Armed Forces this year. It's the biggest amount we've ever invested, and the spirit of service members is soaring like never before. We used to have recruiting shortages a year ago. You remember, you couldn't get people to join our military all around the world. You couldn't get them to rejoin. You just couldn't, no matter what you do. That we were way short. Now you can't get into our military. The waiting list, you have waiting lists to get into our military because we have spirit in our country. And all around the world, America is making peace, and we're really making peace through strength because they know they're not going to mess around with us. Nobody's going to mess around with us. You saw what happened. We made a deal with China last week, and we made a deal with Japan last week. We made a deal with Malaysia. They helped us so much. All great economic deals, all great. Great for everybody. In 8 months, I ended 8 wars, including Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda. That was going on for a long time. Pakistan and India. You know, I was in the midst of a trade deal with both of them. And then I read on the front page of a certain newspaper, I said, I don't want to mention the newspaper because it's usually fake news, but I heard they're going to war. 8 planes, 7 planes were shot down. An 8th was really badly wounded, but 8 planes were shot down essentially. And I said, this is war. And they were going at it. And they're 2 nuclear nations. I said, I'm not going to make any trade deals with you guys unless you agree to peace. No way, this has nothing to do. I said, it has everything to do. Your nuclear powers. I'm not trading with you. We're not making any deals with you if you're at war with each other. A day later, I get a call. We made peace. They stopped. I said, thank you, let's trade. Isn't that great? Tariffs did that. You know what? Tariffs. Without tariffs, that would have never happened. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Cambodia and Thailand. All of them were in war, starting war. Some of the wars were 32 years old. One was 38 years old. Amazing. They tried to, President Putin, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago, and he said, on the one, he said, we've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. We weren't able to do it. You got to settle. I got some of these things settled in an hour. No help from the United Nations at all. The only thing I got from them was a blank teleprompter. Remember I went up there, Princess? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, I'm looking at the teleprompters, and I have all my friends, including your family, sitting out there, 158 leaders, some in beautiful silk white robes, others in bad shirts, bad ties, and some in beautiful shirts and ties. But they're all the leaders, 158 leaders. And they're saying, President, and I'm walking up to the President Donald J. Trump, and I'm looking at the teleprompter, stone cold blank. They did it on purpose. And I think I gave my best speech. That's what I was told. But it still wasn't a great feeling. I'm walking up very slowly. You know, I'm 20 feet. I'm trying to walk slowly because I see it's not working. They're dead. They did it on purpose. But it worked out okay. Not great people. Most important of all, for 4 weeks ago, and this is very important, we brokered the historic peace deal that ended the war in Gaza. And it's a serious end, too. You know, I read a lot of people, oh, it's very tenuous. Jared and Steve, I don't think it's tenuous. Do you? I hope it isn't, because otherwise I'll have to cross it off. I'll have to say I only ended 7. But that was a tough one, right? That was a tough one. But there's nothing tenuous about it. It's a serious end. Gaza has been a disaster for so many years, and I think it's an end. I think you're going to see some tremendous things happening. We just had a meeting just before I got up, and some great things are happening. And with Israel and peace in the Middle East, it's amazing, actually, what they've done. And what you two guys have done have been incredible. True. On day one of my administration, I signed an executive order to slash federal funding for any school that pushes critical race theory or transgender insanity on our youth. And we completely banned the chemical and surgical mutilation of our children. Think of that. Can you imagine somebody 15 years ago saying we stopped the surgical mutilation of our children? We stopped the chemical mutilation of our children. Can you imagine that? They would have said, this guy's crazy. And now you're saying, thank you very much, because you know it's true. How about this one? We got men out of women's sports. It's over. It's over. Men out of women's sports. They had a race here, the long distance, the super, I don't know what the hell, a race, one of these all-day races. They had the top women, the top men. The man won by 5 hours and 18 seconds, okay? What the hell? How about the weightlifting? 218 pounds by a woman. That's a lot to lift over your head, Rima. I don't know if you might be able to do it. 218 pounds or whatever was the record. A man beat the record by 100 pounds. It stood for like 17 years or something. A man beat the record by 100 pounds. He was a failed male weightlifter, but as a female, he did very well. That's a record that won't. This is a thing that stood. They'd put a quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on each. 18 years the record stood. Then a guy comes along, ping, ping. This is a crazy. These people are crazy. And Mandami, whatever the hell his name is in New York. No. He thinks it's wonderful to have men playing in women's sports. The swimming's good too, you know? You know the story? Records are being beaten by numbers that nobody's ever seen, nobody ever thought possible. But a lot of those records are being changed back to where they should be. And I made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. And we're restoring the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, the beautiful Alaska mountain I renamed. Think of that. They took the name of McKinley. He was a great president. He was assassinated. He was a great president for tariffs. He was the tariff king, and he made our country very rich. And then Teddy Roosevelt spent the money on the Panama Canal and many other things. And everyone thinks Teddy was a great president. He was. But the one who built all that money was McKinley. So we renamed the mountain back to Mount McKinley. Is that okay? I think so. You know, I'll tell you what, who's happy about that is the great state of Ohio. He was governor of Ohio and became president, did a great job, made the country very rich. He was killed. Mount McKinley was named, and then the name was taken off. And we put it back on. And I renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That was an easy one. That was an easy one, Johnny. That was easy. You know, I looked, we have 92% of the show. I used to say when I was a child, I'd say, how come it's called the Gulf of Mexico? It's mostly America. You know, all the way, it wraps around Florida, all the way up. It's 92% of the shoreline. I said, I think to me it's the Gulf of America. Little did I know I'd have the chance to do it. I did it very quickly.